Now that you have a good handle on the elements of persuasive writing, you've learned how to develop a thesis and the steps for documenting your sources, it's time to write another essay. Of course, you've already written a rhetorical critique at this point, but now is your first foray into argumentative style of writing, known as the argument of fact. So in this module, you will actually write an argument of fact, which is an argument that tries to establish whether something is or is not so. An argument of fact answers questions like, has a crime actually occurred? Are the claims of this scientist accurate? Is radon really the number 2 cause of lung cancer? Etc. People don't usually argue factual matters that are settled or undisputed. So that's not the kind of argument that we're talking about. An argument of fact exists when there is controversy or when people disagree about the facts that do exist currently around a topic or an issue. There are currently, for example, many disagreements about childhood obesity, endangered species, and energy production because the facts surrounding these issues they must be interpreted, first of all, and they have all been interpreted differently by the parties that read those facts. So those determinations or those interpretations of facts then determine how people respond. So for childhood obesity, the facts that exist, people interpret them and they decide how they're going to feed children. These interpretations also determine where we can build dams or how we heat our homes. People need well-reasoned factual arguments in order to make informed decisions. And these arguments are used then to educate the public. So they're pretty important. For the same reason, we need arguments to challenge beliefs that are common in a society but are held on the basis of inadequate or faulty information. One example would be many people believe that talking on a cell phone is actually equivalent to listening to the radio while you're driving. Talking on a cell phone while you're driving is equivalent to listening to the radio in the car. But actually, their intuition is not based on hard data. Scientific studies have shown that using a cell phone in the car is actually equivalent to driving under the influence of alcohol. That's a fact, and as a result, some states have banned the use of handheld phones in cars. So for your first argumentative essay of fact, you're going to choose from the provided list of topics that I have given in the content section of this module, and you're going to make a well-reasoned point that would help to inform the public and how they make decisions about that topic. You're going to need to first identify the issue clearly and then research it. Find out what your hypothesis is. Then refine your claim based on evidence and decide which evidence is going to be best for you to use and then present that in writing. As always, consider your audience when you write and use the strongest tools you can or have learned about, or use the strongest rhetorical devices you know of to make a powerful argument. Now, because this is an argument of fact, you're going to look mostly for facts to support your claims. You wouldn't want to try to use a lot of humor or sympathy or sad emotional stories to get your point across. However, those do play a role also. But facts are going to be what you're relying on mostly. Present facts, cold hard facts. Imagine that people who read your essay have maybe never heard your perspective before. Or maybe they have and they disagree with it. So try to keep that in mind as you're writing and make sure that your argument is as convincing as possible. Try to get them to believe or at least seriously consider your claim. This module will contain plenty of helpful resources to guide you in your writing, so make sure you reference the content section. I will include a sample essay as well. But don't hesitate to refer back to prior modules if you need them for answers to any of your questions or to use the course discussion board. And of course, you can email me for help as well, as always. I'm looking forward very much to reading your work.